The cruelest wounds are not always left by strangers. Sometimes they come from the person who once promised to protect your heart forever. On the morning of the most prestigious charity gala in Chicago, Illinois, my husband looked me up and down with complete disgust before laughing under his breath. He told me I would only embarrass him if I came, called me ugly without a second thought, and then proudly announced he was taking his glamorous ex-girlfriend instead. He believed I would spend the night crying alone. What he never imagined was that before the evening ended, every eye in that ballroom would be fixed on me, and he would wish he could disappear forever. Before we begin, if you believe kindness is more beautiful than appearance and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that touch the heart. My name is Grace Carter, and I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, where my parents taught me that character mattered far more than beauty. My father, Benjamin, worked as a firefighter for over 25 years, while my mother, Rebecca, devoted her life to teaching elementary school children. They never had much money, but our home overflowed with love, honesty, and laughter. Those values stayed with me long after I became an adult, even though life slowly placed me in a world where appearances seemed to matter more than integrity. I met my husband, Nathan Carter, during a corporate fundraising event in New York City. He was charming, ambitious, and incredibly persuasive. He admired my compassion and constantly praised my intelligence. He made me believe I was the most important woman in the world. We married after 2 years together, and for a while, our life looked perfect from the outside. We bought a beautiful home in an upscale neighborhood, traveled across the country, and attended countless social events. Everyone admired us. Everything changed after Nathan received a major promotion that brought wealth, status, and endless attention. As his career climbed higher, his humility disappeared. He became obsessed with luxury brands, expensive parties, and impressing influential people. Slowly, his compliments turned into criticism. Every wrinkle became a flaw. Every extra pound became another reason for him to mock me. He compared me to magazine covers and social media influencers until I barely recognized the confident woman I used to be. Months before the annual Harper Foundation Gala, I was involved in a serious car accident while driving home from volunteering at a children's hospital. Although I survived, the crash left a noticeable scar along one side of my face. Doctors assured me it would fade with time, but healing was slow. I struggled not because of the scar itself but because of how people looked at me afterward. Nathan never comforted me. Instead, he treated my injury like an inconvenience that damaged his perfect image. As the gala approached, I quietly hoped attending together might remind us of happier times. Instead, Nathan walked into our bedroom holding 2 invitations and casually informed me that I would not be attending. He explained that important investors expected elegance and perfection, and according to him, I no longer represented either. Then he smiled coldly and admitted he had invited his former girlfriend, Victoria, because she still knew how to make an entrance. Finally, he looked directly at me and called me ugly. Those words echoed through every corner of my heart long after he slammed the door behind him. I cried until there were no tears left. My reflection in the mirror showed someone exhausted, wounded, and completely forgotten. For a brief moment, I almost believed every terrible thing he had said. That afternoon, my oldest friend, Hannah Brooks, unexpectedly arrived. She had known me since college and immediately sensed something was terribly wrong. After hearing everything, she refused to let me surrender to despair. She reminded me that scars were proof of survival, not reasons for shame. She insisted that beauty rooted in kindness could never be destroyed by one cruel opinion. Then she handed me the business card of a renowned stylist she had worked with for charity events. The following day became a turning point I never expected. A compassionate designer named Olivia welcomed me into her studio without judgment. Instead of trying to hide my scar completely, she enhanced my natural features with elegance and confidence. A gifted makeup artist softened the scar while allowing part of it to remain visible, treating it not as something shameful but as part of my journey. Finally, Olivia presented me with a breathtaking deep burgundy evening gown that fit perfectly, making me feel graceful instead of invisible. But something even more important changed that day. Looking into the mirror, I no longer saw a broken woman trying to satisfy someone else's impossible standards. I saw a survivor who deserved respect regardless of anyone's opinion. One surprising phone call transformed everything further. The Harper Foundation's director personally invited me to attend the gala after learning about my volunteer work at children's hospitals over the past several years. Unknown to Nathan, the organization wanted to honor individuals whose quiet acts of service had changed lives. My name had been nominated by dozens of hospital staff members and grateful families. On the night of the gala, I arrived alone in downtown Chicago. Cameras flashed across the red carpet while luxury vehicles lined the entrance. Hundreds of elegantly dressed guests gathered outside the magnificent ballroom. As I stepped from the car, conversations suddenly became quieter. Confidence replaced fear with every step I took toward the entrance. Inside the ballroom, Nathan stood proudly beside Victoria, laughing with executives and investors. Everything seemed perfect for him until someone whispered my name. He slowly turned around. The expression on his face changed instantly. Shock replaced arrogance. His smile disappeared. Victoria stared in complete disbelief while surrounding guests looked toward me with admiration rather than pity. Nathan had expected me to hide at home. Instead, I walked into the room with dignity that no expensive suit could ever purchase. The evening became even more unforgettable when the master of ceremonies invited me onto the stage. I had absolutely no idea what was happening until my photograph appeared on the enormous screen behind me. One by one, stories were shared about the countless weekends I had spent comforting sick children, organizing fundraising drives, paying for medical equipment anonymously, and supporting families during their darkest moments. Parents spoke through recorded messages about hope returning because someone had cared enough to help. When the foundation announced that I was receiving its Humanitarian Heart Award, the entire ballroom stood and applauded. The standing ovation lasted so long that tears filled my eyes. It wasn't because of recognition. It was because, for the first time in years, people saw my heart before they noticed my appearance. Nathan remained frozen near his table. Investors who had admired him moments earlier now looked at him with visible disappointment after learning who I was and how he had treated me. Several executives quietly walked away from their conversation with him. Later that evening, Nathan finally approached me. His confident posture had completely vanished. He apologized repeatedly, insisting he had made a terrible mistake and begging for another chance. But while listening to his words, I realized something powerful. His apology wasn't born from love. It came from humiliation. He regretted losing the woman others suddenly admired, not the woman he had abandoned emotionally months earlier. I thanked him for the years we had shared because every chapter, even painful ones, had shaped the person standing before him. Then I calmly explained that forgiveness and reconciliation are not always the same thing. I chose to forgive him so hatred would never control my future. But I also chose to walk away because self-respect sometimes requires closing a door that love alone cannot repair. The months that followed were filled with unexpected peace. I finalized our divorce and moved back to Columbus to be closer to my parents. Using the recognition from the award, I established a non-profit organization supporting accident survivors rebuilding their confidence after life-changing injuries. Every week, I met courageous men and women who reminded me that true beauty grows stronger through hardship, compassion, and resilience. One spring afternoon while speaking at a charity event, I noticed countless smiling faces in the audience. None of them cared about the faint scar that still remained on my face. They listened because my story gave them hope. In that moment, I realized Nathan had accidentally given me the greatest gift of all. By breaking my confidence, he forced me to discover a strength no one could ever take away again. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need a reminder that their worth is never defined by another person's cruel words. Before this story ends, please leave a comment below and tell us, have you ever turned pain into your greatest strength? As I walked into the sunlight outside the auditorium that afternoon, I no longer carried the weight of rejection. I carried purpose. The scar on my face had faded, but the lesson it taught would remain forever. Beauty may capture attention for a moment, but kindness, courage, and unwavering self-worth create a legacy that lasts a lifetime. And sometimes, the person who calls you ugly is simply too blind to recognize the extraordinary soul standing right in front of them.